Okay, on today's video, we're going to talk about how to sell a DIY type product, do-it-yourself product, where you actually buy a product to do the fixing or execution of some sort of service that people a lot of times go and hire a professional to do. Ultimately do it for yourself. And how to actually do it the right way, the way that is going to get you way more sales than what the average person's going to do when they try to sell this product. So I'm going to go through then what, the usual thing that people do if they have a DIY product to sell that solves a problem and that people have to put in some elbow grease to use and to get the results out of. And then what I do on our clients' PPC campaigns, when I have a client comes to us with the issue being that they have to sell as much as they can the products that they have that are of a DIY type or nature. How to actually do that so you can do it for yourself if you have one to sell. And then of course I'm going to also, like I usually do on my videos, go through some different results on different campaigns that I've ran in the past so you can see how this will work for you. And of course, when you walk away, when you go ahead and do it, what you can expect. So with all that said, I'll get into it with the prelude first. A lot of people think you sell a DIY product when people are searching for the product itself. In other words, if you sell a roof repair product, people think the first thing they're thinking of is what's advertised under roof repair product, basically, okay? In reality, the time to sell is when the person is searching for alternative products, which will be much more profitable to do it this way, or researching for info on fixing the problem itself, or how to fix the problem in the first place. In other words, when people are looking for alternative solutions or just looking how it's possible to fix the problem itself, because there's always some people who don't know the product exists, both of those situations are going to be ultimately added together almost always more than people when they're looking for the product itself. When you add it all up. Sometimes it's not the case. However, in any DIY product that you're selling, you're going to cut yourself way short if you don't add in these other parallel avenues to sell your product. And I'm going to give you a few examples to explain how this works. So, some time ago, we had a client who sold a septic tank product, which normally, your toilet goes down into a septic tank if you own a house, and then it sits there until it biodegrades or whatever. And he had a product that allowed you to make sure the septic tank was more efficient. And with that, it wasn't people looking for septic tank products that was the primary seller of that product. Not even close. Of the two channels I mentioned here, when somebody's searching for an alternative solution or just looking for info on how to do it in the first place, the alternative solution, other than buying a product to fix it, would be, in this case, somebody to actually put a new septic installation system in. The far expensive solution, but that's, and the primary way in this market, actually, that people looked for how to fix that problem. So it was people, they're typing in other words, buying keywords, septic installation companies, that kind of thing. And so when somebody was typing that in, what I did for the client here was to put an ad there that flags people down, and they have them have the ad say, "Don't hire a septic installation company before you see this. Guaranteed fix, $9.99." Another way to say it would be immediate fix, $9.99. They're about the same there. With that, so they're looking for a local septic company to come fix their septic tank, right? We're telling them, because that actual cost is thousands. So we're telling them, hey, you can fix this yourself and it's going to be cheaper. So before you actually call, because most of the time people think that's not going to work, and it doesn't, Because if somebody's looking for a septic company, having your ad there, there's Google's quality score system that dictates if somebody doesn't click through your ad at a high enough rate, and when they go to your site, they don't buy at a high enough rate or respond at a high enough rate, they're going to jack up what you're paying for a click in that spot to the point where it's not profitable anymore. However, if you use an ad like this that really, really gets under people's skin to the point where they were absolutely just beelining to call that company, they thought about it for days, and you speak to them like this instead of saying, septic tank product, come see our septic tank product. It's not going to get people's attention. Like, stop. Do not hire a septic company until you've seen this. You'll regret it. It's good old-fashioned copywriting. It will work at least good enough to where you can afford that ad space and make a profit. And that's what we did in this market. On the flip side, or the other way that you can advertise if you have a product like that, or a DIY product, would be when people are looking for info on how to actually fix the problem itself, not alternative solutions, which would be actually hiring a company, which would be the other way to fix that septic problem. It would be people that are typing in keywords like how to deal with the full septic tank. How do I deal with the full septic tank? Because people, when they have problems, obviously they go to Google nowadays and they just type out a whole sentence basically, and then they ask the question to Google. Your job is now the Google's job is now your opportunity, and Google is just looking for the best person that can solve that question for the person the best. And so if you can speak to that person direct enough, then a term which normally that person's not looking for a product at all or a service at all will be profitable, and you can capitalize on it. But like I said before, you got to really do a good job on your ad copywriting. I actually set up a unique ad for every single keyword on any account that I run anyways. But in this particular case, it's ultra important for it to work because, again, the quality score system Google has. So when somebody types in how to deal with the full septic tank, I'm going to say, clear a full septic tank permanently in 15 minutes. Guaranteed fix, $9.99. Okay, so maybe in this particular case, it's before they were prepared to pay a lot, now we're just going to offer to do it for a little. This one is, they weren't prepared to spend any money at all. They were just looking for information. However, we're going to siphon off a small trickle of people who will be attracted by the fact that your ad is so tight to the user's search. You're looking for this, we have this. Just pay this amount. You don't have to read it any further. Whether it's 5 or 10%, but that's all you need. A click-through rate of a 5% on an ad is enough to make plenty of money from a campaign. But you do have to write a custom ad that not just kind of answers the question, dead center answers the question for the user. If they were typing in, my septic tank is full, how do I empty it? Well, you better say, how to empty a septic tank that's full in 15 minutes. You get my point here. You will understand why if you try this method out for yourself. But in that situation, that was also profitable. For this particular market, and it'll differ market to market and what product you actually have, this particular here, as you probably can imagine, where they're looking for a septic company and then offering the product itself that can solve, it's another way to solve that same issue that they're looking to ultimately solve, actually was the bigger way to sell. We got more volume and more profit this way than this way, but they both actually worked. Together, they actually, with the blended, the ROI was just fine, and we took what we could get here, but it was enough to where we also wanted that. You ultimately, at the end of the day here, to boil all this down, what you're trying to do is you're trying to find all the possible solutions for what you sell. If you're selling something that you have a DIY, which can be applied to anything really. Okay, all the solutions are, okay, they could go to Google and they could ask, what can I do to manually fix it? I could go to Google to hire somebody to fix it. which are the two main ways that I just covered. In that case, you're going to write a custom ad and take them to a custom page that exactly answers that issue, and you do it in an efficient enough way. Why? Because people are inherently damn lazy. And so even if something costs a little bit of money, if they weren't intending on paying it, because it's so damn easy and it's laid out so clear for them, they'll take advantage of it. And even if they don't trust your thing, having something that they know is not going to cost them a lot can be plenty enough in a lot of cases for them to take you up on the deal. And also because on top of that, in this situation, you're uncomplicating it. Okay, I got to call the septic company. Then they got to do a quote. And then I talk to my husband. Whereas in this case, they can, with a credit card, and in 15 minutes, order this thing and it's out of their mind. That's also the reason why this works. So anyway, that's the general gist of how this works. And of course, you're also going to advertise on septic tank products as well. But that's in this market, 10 to 20% of the volume. The real volume comes in doing this, but doing it in the right way. I haven't talked about landing pages here, but in this particular case, we sent the people to the plain old, sales page on the site. And because it was decently well laid out in terms of the material, it was fine. When we upgraded and had a customized page for this, where you can actually start out the top of the page saying what it usually costs to hire a septic company and how easy this product is and how effective this product is, the conversion rate shot way up. You're talking 2 to 3 times more doing that. And then on this side, you can take a base, like if you create a landing page like I described here, you just take the top of the page out for this other half of the campaign where they're just looking for general information at this particular stage. And you could put at the top of the page, in terms of how to deal with a full septic tank, you can say that, start out more like, you got to think about what the normal website that's going to look like in the organic search listings, what they're expecting, and start it out like that. The septic tank usually ends up full because of this. And really, what the issue is, it doesn't have this. And if you use this product, you'll fix the problem, and you don't have to worry about doing a bunch of other crap. This is the easiest thing to do, even though it's not the cheapest. You could also do this and this and this and this and this, and it will be free. Or you could just order our product, and in 15 minutes after it arrives to your door, you got the problem fixed. So you got to put the effort in for this to work extremely well. If you just send them to the same product page as you use for everything else, it's going to work somewhat, but you're going to, again, have 2 to 3 times the results if you do it the way that I just explained, than just to wing it and send them to the normal product page on your site or service page where they can order it or demand it on your site. And so it's the common theme with everything as it comes to PPC. The more work you put in to serve the user, the more money you're going to make. You can decide how far you want to go with it. If you're not making money yet or just aren't quite there, the answer almost always is to put more effort, to put yourself in the user's shoes, to serve them a little bit better, and making it a little bit more clear or easier for them to order, and just keep working on it until you have it efficient enough to where it is actually getting the kind of ROI that you're looking for, that 8 to 1, 10 to 1 return that you're looking for. Anyway, so you get the general gist of this idea and strategy that I use for DIY campaigns. There's other markets where this easily works as well, which is why we're here explaining it to you. So with that said, I'll go into some different markets where this has been used and then how it has been used, and so you can see how it's to do it for your market, something other than a product itself as well, and septic product. The first one is, so the same company as before when I worked with this company, we sold the hot tub product that allowed you to clean the hot tub out in an unconventional way as well. And so with that one, it was the same thing, same exact situation. Somebody looking for the conventional way to fix this, we were showed up there. And we just went in here and we said, before you buy this, order this. And for this, how to clean the hot tub, we showed up there as well. And both of them worked. And then there's still a small trickle of people looking for the type of solution that we offered. But it was, again, we're talking 5-10% of the volume these two avenues brought. But because we lined it up so well, the ad copy matched the user's queries so well, and on top of that, we had a page set up so well, the whole thing just worked. It worked extremely well. It worked without a custom landing page, worked way better with it. And so overall, the numbers that I'm going to give you here, which is right here, we're talking about having actually had to make a landing page and the campaign. Between both of them, we were looking at a 8-to-1 return overall, roughly speaking, rounded it off there, looking at our past notes, what that campaign returned at the end of the day. Now, that obviously applies in a market where the solution's less known about, and so therefore, there's going to be a lot less people overall searching for it. So you have to rely on these two avenues more. If what your solution is already well known, and I'm also going to talk about that as well, like what you would do in that situation, and it's less important for you to obviously do this because there's enough meat there for you to get just going after the people looking for the product. Regardless if this is the case or not, you're going to make even more setting this up for your business. So obviously I'm always telling people to pick the low-hanging fruit first. If you have enough volume, people looking straight up for the product, and there's not too much competition, therefore you find it adequately profitable, well then do that first. And then go after people looking for info or buying alternative solutions and tap into that revenue stream as well. So that said, the next one though, before I get into where the people are looking for the product more, the individual solution you offer directly more, I'll get into a couple more here. The diet product, here's a very clever strategy we used. So obviously in the diet space, there's all kinds of people selling, all kinds of diet gimmicks, shakes, meal plans, whatever. People will never stop buying them. But one of the things that is out there that people do is there's like weight loss clinics. There's even weight loss camps. I've worked with a client like that before. And the particular situation with the clinics, the local clinics, that's relatively expensive. Again, it's like going to a doctor in terms of the cost. We're talking big money here, and over an extended period of time. In this particular case, we said we get into some storytelling, which is a little different than what I talked about so far. Local Atlanta woman loses 30 pounds in 90 days. Something like that was said. With that, we take them to a page which starts out just as a story. And it's just like a case study, which doesn't look like a case study at first glance, but it's told like a story. And then you get to explaining how this Lady Mary actually, who was on this journey to solve the problem, which she needed to lose weight, and she used this particular product. And she's from Atlanta, which the user's from Atlanta. They're initially looking for a diet clinic in Atlanta. Now you're siphoning off some of that high dollar demand, the demand that's there, that's ready to spend big bucks anyway. Now you have you're going to push them to consider an actual product that they could take, which is much cheaper. You tell the story, you show what happened, and then you show underneath that a couple more people from Atlanta who had the same solution, and then you talk about the product itself. This is very common to how other diet products are sold. Pretty much, it's case studies out there. But what makes this work is it's so relevant. You know exactly that they're ready to buy something right then and there, and you're not trying to muscle in with the big players where people are selling the products, and it's very, very, very competitive. And unless you're very sophisticated at what you're doing, you're probably not going to be able to get that to work. However, in this other place where the cost per click is not that expensive because there's not that many diet clinics around in your city, and of which you could sell in a vacuum, as Dan Kennedy says, you want to try to sell in a vacuum. and you can get the person who already, it's clear they have plenty of money, they're ready to spend what they have, and there's other people in the local area doing something else. Ultimately, it's less work. You're capitalizing on people's laziness a lot of the times with this. Obviously, it's less risk, but it's not so much about what it was in that case. You can ship them something in the mail that local people are already doing. Well, why don't I try that first? So that's one way, alternative way. You could do a diet product, but just in general, if you have a general everyday product that you're supposed to be able to use, you can structure it. You're interject yourself in the situation where somebody's looking for an alternative solution that solves the same problem that you solve, and do it through storytelling. It doesn't have to be a diet product to tell a story like that. You just have to give a case study, but when you don't sell a case study, because people don't want to read a case study. They want to read Mary's story. So you do that in your ad, and it could be done for a business-to-business service. Doesn't matter what it is. Just start off. Don't sell an ebook. Don't sell a white paper. Sell a story. It'll work better that way in general. The next is a tax relief business. So in this particular, so if you don't know what this is, it's like if you don't pay your taxes, these tax relief companies will negotiate with the IRS so that you don't have a problem with them garnishing your wages, or you haven't paid, haven't filed your taxes, you have problems with them in general. Lots of different things can come up. Well, what I asked, what's the initial thing that gets people to initially start to engage with the company or companies out there that do this? You get a letter in the mail, okay? The letter says you need to contact us because you owe all this money. Well, they get this letter and then they're like, oh crap, I don't have this money. What am I going to do now? You know, and then if they don't do anything, they later on get a letter saying they're getting their wages garnished, or they notice it from their check, but respectively, they get this letter in the mail saying their wages are garnished. So what do? They go online and they start looking for solutions. So most of the tax relief companies are advertising under like tax relief service, that kind of stuff. In this particular case, it was how to deal with wage garnishment. How to deal with IRS wage garnishment, or how to stop IRS wage garnishment, keywords like that. In that particular case, we had an ad that just said, stop IRS wage garnishment today, $49. That's it. And so even though there's all kinds of information on Google that's findable, that'll show you that you can technically fill out this form and get it stopped, but then you got to download this form and you don't have a printer, and you're not, even if you do have a printer, you don't want your next paycheck coming out in 2 weeks to be dinged or whatever. You want this to for sure work. So if you're going to only charge me $50 and I can call and you're going to immediately start on it, well, why do I just do that? That's not enough money to make, money in that business, but everybody overlooks this because they want the big $6,000 payday or $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 paydays with this, which is what the business is truly about. On average, that's kind of what it costs. So you sell the person the $50 solution that's instant. They don't have to do anything else. It goes back to what I said before. Instead of having to read anymore, you call now, problems fixed, guaranteed. And you do it for a low price. In that particular case, who do you think, because that's not the end of the road. They're going to be able to do a form to get it stopped immediately, but you still have to deal with them. And then if you got your foot in the door with that person, now the likelihood you're going to get all the rest of the business, even though a bunch of people are going to call, are going to be broke, and they're not prepared to buy, 1 in 10 of the people will buy. And the $50 costs to cover the advertising to get that initial lead/sale on the initial $50 product. And then all the upselling you can do, the 1 out of 8 or 10 or so right around in there, of the people who they can upsell to the $5,000 fee, that's all icing on the cake. So that one was real good. 14-to-1 return on that. So the moral of the story there is if you have a service that's expensive, don't try to propose marriage right away. Because when everybody else does in a market, if you don't, and you can find out an individual problem they have to deal with right away, or a burning problem or question, offer to fix it right away for extremely low fee, and then try to upsell. A lot of them won't, even if it's 1 out of 10, because nobody else is doing it. You could potentially show up with, and get a return like that for yourself. Anyway, the last one. So I talked about, I would come to us and show you talk about a different example where a lot of people are searching for the product, and you don't necessarily. The big driver maybe isn't people looking for alternative solutions and advertising there, or when they're looking for information on how it's fixed in general. There was if you have a deck, you have to cover it with this seal to make sure the wood doesn't rot regularly every few years. So people search for the product. It's not like a new solution. People know how to search for that, and they know when to search for that. And obviously there's some people who are still looking for information at the end of the day. On top of that, though, on how to protect your deck and how to seal a deck and that kind of thing. We still went after that, where it wasn't done before, and it wouldn't be profitable before just trying to send people to the deck product, because when they're searching for information, that's what they're looking for. So what you always have to do is you're playing this game of transitioning. You're seducing that person and transitioning them over from information to buy, but you're not doing it abruptly. You're doing it with offering and leading it with a bit more information, and then slowly transitioning them into, okay, you need the product, and this is the only product that basically works, and we offer it. So in this particular case, though, the interesting kind of thing that happened was, if somebody's looking how to protect their deck and seal it again, or whatever along those same lines, put together a kit that is like a deck sealing kit, right? So how to seal my deck. Deck sealing kit, everything that you need to have, $49.95. Include everything you need to have, including instructions, $49.95. Now I know that's not leading in with the information exactly, but other people aren't selling it that way. They're selling the product, and they're not advertising and packaging it up, because you have the people that sell the sealant, and there's other people that sell the brushes and all the other crap. Why don't you subsidize? Why don't you throw all that stuff for free? And then they know that if they're looking for how to restain their deck, you're going to give them the exact instructions, with the instructions including all the pieces that you're going to need to do it included with it. So you can show, you start with this, and you dump this in here, and then you pick this up, and then you do this, and then because in other words, your instructions that you give is only as relevant as the products you're using. So you could say, yeah, you need to let so much time dry for the product to dry before you use it again. That's not accurate unless you know which actual product you're using. And of course, if you recommend doing it a certain way with a certain kind of roller, well, then it's extra work to find that roller. And then there's more work involved. Whereas again, like going back to full circle what I was saying with all this, if you could find a way to make it easier, they're just going to go with yours. So in this particular case, you're going to get the exact information that you're looking for and know that it will be directly applicable, because you're giving the products there all in one go. And so that was, profitable. I don't think, if I remember correctly, we went ahead and did anything with looking for alternative solutions, because there's nothing in that category to do it. But we did absolutely expand the campaign with people looking for information on how to do it, like how it's done in general, and selling the kit with instructions right there. And then people would see, they'd click on it, they potentially just thought, as far as I understand this and how the consumer's mind works behind all this, they click on it, they think they're going to just read the instructions because we're trying to sell the product. Oh, I won't buy it. but I'll take their instructions, because obviously their instructions are going to be good because they're trying to sell a product, whereas somebody else's instructions will be crap because there's not as much money in it for them. But then the instructions, you read all the instructions, you're like, Now I realize now that I can't go anywhere else to read the instructions, because if I do, then whatever instructions they give, I'll have to hope that the instructions and the products I get, like I said, coincide with one another. So we're just making it very, very simple for the user there. And so if someone's looking for how to do what you do and your product's involved, just say instructions how to do it plus kit price. Let them click on it. Some of them will waste your budget and just read the instructions. Guide how to stain your deck with optional kit, $329. You get the general gist. A bunch of people will skip over it. The main thing is with that as well, and like I said also before, just to sum this up, so many people are just going to totally avoid those keywords in that market. And so the cost per click is going to be extremely cheap, like 15, 20 cents versus $2 or whatever if you're going after the buying keywords where they're actually looking at the product directly or exactly. So you don't have to be that good. Of course, a bunch of people will waste your budget, but even if 10% of the people who click you're going to transition them from one to the other, from just wanting the information to also now you've talked them into and realizing why, okay, the instructions were extremely good. I trust this company now. And now I understand that any old instructions aren't going to work unless I get the instructions from an actual company, a paint company or stain company or whatever you want to call it, itself. So I want the instructions from somebody who not only had, their name is on the line, but also, this process involves a product that I need to get, and they know those instructions are the instructions to give because they've tested this product and they know exactly what instructions should be used with this product. So, and you have to explain that with your instructions that you give in a campaign like that. And again, you're going to need a landing page that goes behind it, and you start by explaining, here's the instructions. You make those instructions damn good. And then you say, any of the products you saw in here, here's where they are, all included in one kit. There you go. One click buy. If you're supposed to be the one doing this, it's Saturday, you want to watch the football game, yeah, you could go ahead and try to go somewhere else and screw around. Otherwise, something that you thought was going to take 30 minutes to figure out or what have you, I just save 30 minutes of my time. Let's just go ahead and buy this. Not everybody will do it, but a bunch will. Enough where it can be profitable for your campaign potentially, because the advertising there is so cheap. So anyway, that's everything. I hope you enjoyed this video again. I have a ton of videos on this channel just like this, other PPC money-making strategies. If you haven't seen any of them yet, go ahead and check them out. You'll thank me that you have. I have a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog with step-by-step instructions on how to build campaigns just like I described to you here today, in case you'd like to see information laid out on actually physically how to do it. And if you have any questions or comments, leave me a comment down below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or a comment on this channel within a day or two. But good luck to you in setting up your own informational query type campaigns for any DIY product that you have, or under people searching for alternative solutions. Hope it works for you like it did for me.